Yes, that's a very important piece to recognize that what is here as opposed to what I'm wanting, what I'm, I've got my agenda, and then it's like, oh, wait a second, well, something else is occurring, and then I shift into a more kind of, well, how can I serve that, and how do I nurture that? How do I recognize that?
Well, how do I get out of the way is part of it,
Yes, that's right. Yes. And so what you're describing, how I understand what you're describing, is the engagement of painting as a kind of life practice, life engagement, because what ends up happening is it changes me. As I learn through my painting in the studio, like, oh, I have to get out of the way, or oh, I have to be more receptive, or oh, I have to show up. I mean, all of that. It's like, oh, that's like what I need to do in my life. And so it becomes this, it starts to work on me. Mm. And then it's like, oh, what would happen if I bring that into the other parts of my life? How does that work? So then painting really does become, the engagement with painting has the possibility of being much more than making a successful image,
Mm. Agreed. Okay, thanks, Jordan. I enjoyed the conversation. I'll shut up now.
No, this is it. This is what,
Jordan, I have a question. It's Jessica. We talk about setting limitations when we have a problem we want to solve. So let's just say there's a composition you have in mind that you're going to do, and basically you're setting limitations for yourself of what you will use in your observation to make that composition work. Then you talk about presence as being this thing that's everywhere. So I'm just curious, in the process, I'm not really sure what my question is, except that I'm acutely aware of needing limitations in my own work process. Otherwise, I would be an amorphous blob, not being able to think of a single idea or follow a direction. You need some sort of construct in your mind for what the limits of what it is you're trying to do. How do you reconcile that with the concept of presence and how you are in it and how it's this thing in life that's going on all around you?
Right. So it is. Presence is endless. There's no limit to it. And yet, all experience has limitations, has form. If it didn't, I couldn't experience. So, if I'm looking at a painting, it's limited. Music begins and ends, certain instruments. I mean, those are, aesthetic experiences, but all experiences, my thought starts and stops, my speaking. I mean, so my body has these limits, right? Everything in form has a limit. And yet we have access to what's essentially limitless. And so the question becomes, as a maker, what what are the terms? What are the limitations that I find as me, Jordan? What are the limitations I find most compelling that catalyze my engagement most deeply, so that when I'm making, I'm really in it? And that's so a painting journey, right? When we're starting out, we have all these skills to learn, and then we have all these influences. We have all different teachers, and we have all these different painters that we love, current and in our history, and we get all these influences, and it's critical. And then so we're gathering, and then we start putting those things together and finding our way with what of those things do I really need, and what are my questions, and what do I care about, and what compels me? What's my way of marking? Do I get really turned on by working from observation, or do I get really turned on by working from imagination and memory? I mean, or total non-representational abstraction, or do I really want to listen to this music, or do I need silence, or right? What are the terms? What are my questions that get me most engaged? And what that means is, in terms of what we're talking about is, what are the limitations that will most fully and directly give me access consistently to presence in my work, that my work will participate that way. And everyone's different, and that's internally. From the second person perspective, looking at that over time, that body of work, you could say, oh, that's the person's style. But internally, first person, that doesn't make any sense. I'm just doing what I need to do. And if I start looking for my style, I'm going to be splitting myself. I need to be just from here. What do I need to do? And so there's a quality of necessity. It's experienced as necessity in the work. I just got to do it that way. And and that could change too. In other words, the formal ingredients can change. They certainly did with someone like Picasso or David Hockney or Jasper Johns, or right. Matisse talked about that over his life, how it changed. But so part of the painting journey is learning how to listen in to our aesthetic necessity formally. What are my materials? Oh, I really like acrylic. Oh, I really hate acrylic. Whatever. And one of the wonderful things about oil painting is it's so literally flexible, that it's so it lends itself, participates so amazingly, intimately with different kinds of temperaments. I find that gorgeous.
Thank you.
Is that, yeah?
I think so.